Chapter 80. Each other's business. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The island where they fought completely disappeared after the destructive onslaught from Meteor Shower, Mind's Blade, Blood Moon, and the explosion from the shattering of the demon god's orb. It was enough destructive power to completely annihilate the island from existence. The Vermont Empire realized this case and dispatched an investigation team. In the nearby seas, the naval security witnessed the great explosions and alerted the mainland. The dispatched investigation team were the Imperial Magicians and Vermont Special Forces 3rd Division. They could only be shocked at the devastated scenery. The obliterated island was one thing, but the eerie mana continued to whirlpool into nothingness. It was the main reason as to why they couldn't approach the remnants of the island. What the hell happened here? And the Special Forces soldiers who were tracking down Quicantle and Enya felt their hearts sink. They knew that the destruction before them was definitely related to the whereabouts of the contractor and her dragon. An Imperial Magician, who was watching the scene, approached the Special Forces. Division Leader Ratch, it seems that Silver Dragon Quicantle had a battle here. The Silver Dragon's mana, and the Wind Dragon's mana can be detected here. The Wind Dragon. Are you sure? Yes. I think it's the Zipful's Violetta. He was the only wind dragon who came near this area. And I can detect a human's mana, but I can't determine whose it is. Ratch placed his hand on his forehead. Why did they fight? No answers immediately came to mind. The human's mana is highly likely to be from Ulta's contractor, Enya. Maybe it's related to the thing that the Zipfuls are making. Shit, I should have kept more eyes on the log cabin. The thing he referred to was the demon god's orb. Currently, there weren't many in the Vermont Empire who knew about the orb. The only ones who knew of its existence were the Emperor, the Special Forces division leaders, and some Imperial ministers. However, none of them exactly knew its abilities and functions, nor did they know the item's name. They only had knowledge of the Zipfuls making an artifact involving the contractors of gods. Division Leader. The Navy discovered parts of a dragon's corpse on the opposite side of the island. The discovered pieces of flesh and scales were stuck to some remnants of dead trees floating in the ocean. They're certainly from the Silver Dragon's wing and the Wind Dragon's tail. The Imperial Magician verified after looking at the remains. Gather all of the remains in the ocean. Make sure you don't let it fall into that void. In the following hours, the investigation team was able to recover many pieces of flesh, bones, and scales. The Imperial Magicians concluded that both dragons died from the battle, and reporting such news to the Emperor was Ratch's job. Indeed, just like you said, this may be related to the artifact that they are making. Does that mean you didn't identify what caused the whirlpool that superseded the island? Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. There seems to be many uncertainties within your reports. And you didn't even identify Quicantle's guests. My apologies, Your Imperial Majesty. Well, you probably didn't do it on purpose. If you are not able to find them, then they must be extraordinary people. Still, I believe that you can track them in the end. Ratch lowered his head. Anyway. In our perspective, we should be praying that both dragons are dead. Else, they'd see it as a threat. First, let's wait for the Zipful clan's official declaration. What shall we tell our press? Tell them to cover it up for now. If Enya isn't found until tonight, then declare her as missing. Quicantle probably just died with her. The nobles at the academy would be delighted. After Ratch left, the Emperor sat alone in the office and thought to himself. I should dispatch more of the Special Forces near the Zipful clan. Too many things happened while I wasn't paying attention. At the topmost floor of the Zipful clan's Tower of Magicians, a man looking into a crystal ball spoke. Andre is dead. The man was Keliark Zipful, the Zipful clan's current patriarch. Although Andre was his younger brother, finding out that the second in command had died didn't really affect him. Unlike the world's perception of his appearance, he had the face of a young adult. Anyone who didn't know what Keliark looked like back in his youth wouldn't be able to immediately identify him on the streets. What? Your brother died? What do you mean? That crystal ball. You can't see anything inside it. It's just for decoration. Is that supposed to be another unfunny joke, Keliark? The only being who could talk to Keliark Zipfel this comfortably was Fire Dragon Kadin, one of the God of Flames Shinu's dragons and Keliark's guardian dragon. He was slowly cooking a meat skewer using the breath coming out of his snout. No, not through the crystal, you idiot. I can feel it. My younger brother just died. I'm not kidding. Kadin stopped turning his skewer. So you say it's true. Maybe he lost to Quicantle. Didn't he take the demon god's orb with him? He also had Violetta. Ah, since Andre died, then did Violetta perish as well. Either way, Quicantle should have been an easy opponent if he had the orb's power by his side. No idea. Perhaps the silver dragon was stronger than we thought, or a third party helped them. Quicantle. That bitch is strong, but not enough to fight both of them. She's definitely not enough against the orb. Chomp. Kadin chewed off a bite of the skewer. Keliark looked at him and gently grinned. If that's so, then it means that there was a third party. Who do you think it is? How the fuck would I know? Dumbass. Keliark frowned at the dragon's words. It's probably a dragon. Last time, didn't Kinsalo say that a dragon controlling the shadows killed the cemetery giants? Then it could be Misha. Very likely. By Misha do you mean Black Dragon Muraken's sister? Yeah, her. That bitch wouldn't feel fear from the orb's power. She may not be as strong as Muraken in his prime, but she's still super strong. Your duty has been determined, Kadin. To go find Misha. I guess I do all the dirty work. I'll try to find her, but don't expect anything from me. If a black dragon tries their best to hide, even the god of searching wouldn't be able to find them. I'll just trust you, Kadin. Either way, losing the orb is kind of a pain in the ass. Do you even give a single fuck that your brother just died? Well, I knew that dumbass would die at some point. A while back, he just waltzed into Siren's banquet without an ounce of fear, and I was pretty worked up. I didn't think he'd take the orb with him to the grave, though. We gotta call the fragmenter to make it again. Without that, we can't go for the run candles before Siren dies. And the kings of the Black Sea, I know. I know already. Man, this is all a mess. Just in case, I should go get rid of all evidence of the orb. I got more dirty work than you, Kadin. You should be doing that much. In order to become the god of the world, that is. ****** in Bavard Gaston's fragmented workshop located in the Curano dukedom, Bishical sat down as he suppressed his hateful wrath and emotion. Ah, welcome, Sir Bishical. Good timing. I was craving those sweet potato croquettes of yours. Hee hee. No croquettes today. Listen closely, Bavard. I came after hearing from the traders of the Vermont imperial family. It seems that the Zipfel clan used the demon god's orb behind our backs. What? They did. Yes. In the Vermont Empire's ocean territory, a silver dragon and wind dragon had a big battle, and an island got annihilated. And because of the remaining mana, there's a whirlpool in the middle of the ocean that wouldn't disappear. It's definitely caused by the orb's destruction. Hearing this, Bavard jumped up from his seat and shouted. Berg! That orb was my creation. I'm sure I warned them not to use it in its incomplete state. I'll never forgive them if it's true. As Bavard threw a tantrum, Bishical grimaced. The day to kill this dumbass hog strays further. He has to remake the orb. The Zipfels came up with the initial idea, but Bavard took care of the orb's creation. Thus, the orb's ownership was equally shared between the Zipful clan and Kinsalo group. Even our leader is furious. Since our alliance with the Zipfuls could shatter at any moment, don't communicate with them for the time being. ******. 2 days later. Young Master Jean, welcome back. Jean and his companions arrived at Kashimir's mansion in Taiken. Kashimir and the agents of the seven-colored peacock came out to the courtyard to greet them. And Gilly, who was awaiting their arrival, frantically ran to them. Young Master. Are you all right? Strawberry pie. I'm okay. Gilly had heard about Enya's plight, and never slept one bit as she worried about Jean. She turned her head towards Luna, and immediately bowed. It's all right, Gilly. I heard on the way here, but the youngest seems to love you a lot. Please continue to take care of him. Luna. Wait. The white whale, Lady Luna Runcandle. Ah, you must be Sir Kashimir. Greetings. I am Luna Runcandle. I can't believe that Lady Luna would come to my residence. It is my honor to serve you. Please, come in. You have all done well. As they entered the mansion, Kashimir spoke before Jean could open his mouth. Young Master Jean, I must tell you something first. Earlier today, about 3 hours ago, my daughter's guardian dragon returned. Jin's eyes widened. Lathri returned. Yes, but there's something weird. It seems like Lathri has a gap in their memory for the time they went missing. For now, Lathri is beside my daughter, but it seems like they couldn't understand the situation themselves. Maybe it wasn't a kidnapping. It definitely was. Quicantle got a confession directly from Violetta. A thought suddenly came to Jean. Maybe the Zipfuls are concerned about other clans discovering the existence of the orb, so they're getting rid of all evidence regarding the situation. Then, it's likely that they would purposefully erase Lathri's memories to protect its secrecy. With this in mind, Jean explained the events at the island, and Kashimir nodded as he listened. Those are some extreme situations. I feel bad that I forced you into such circumstances while I powerlessly remained in Taiken. An artifact that swallows contractors whole. What the hell is happening in the Zipful clan? There's only one reason to make a replica of the Orb of Origin, twerp. Murakan opened his mouth. Jean, Quicantle, and Luna nodded. On the way to Taiken, they had heard more about the Orb of Origin. They're trying to become a god in order to rule the world. Well, I don't know if things will go how they want it to, though. Chapter 81. Meeting Siren, 1, you are listening at novelfull.audio. It hasn't even been a month since he became a provisional flag-bearer and left the Garden of Swords, yet Jean has already destroyed the Akin Kingdom's underground organization, settled in the free city of Taiken, and killed the Zipful clan's second-in-command along with his guardian dragon, Violetta. The last battle may have been concluded by Luna, but if it wasn't for Jean, Andre, and Violetta would have never come to the island in the first place. No provisional flag-bearer in Runcandle history had this many achievements in such a short amount of time. However, there was a problem. I worked my ass off and did a lot of stuff, but not anything to instantly prove myself worthy of becoming a provisional flag-bearer. Murakan sighed at the young Runcandle and spoke. Well, when this is all over, I can say that I caused all the ruckus, so there's nothing to be worried about. Either way, it's better to not become a public figure right now. A provisional flag-bearer's fame was stocked up on a fake name that the clan determined beforehand. And once it was known that the provisional flag-bearer had gathered enough fame, the clan would contact the candidate to inform them of their worthiness to the throne. Therefore, Jin's fame needs to naturally travel into the ears of the Runcandle clan in order to be considered a strong candidate. However, he could not do this. Until now, everything he did wasn't resolved with only the use of his sword. Since I dealt with stuff using magic, I definitely can't tell anyone in the clan. He would only be able to tell them once he had accumulated enough power and authority, to a point where there would be no problem when his siblings find out about a magic using Runcandle. Until then, Jean planned to remain as a rumor to the world. Simply put, a rumor of a human who could resist the Zipfuls and other powerful entities. One who could wield the sword and use magic, and also has unknown individual powers. Furthermore, a rumor that he is Soderet's contractor. Until then, the people who know of my ability to use magic must be limited to my companions, elder sister Luna, and father. Luna knew Jin's inner thoughts. Even before she heard André say that Jean broke the oath, she knew that her brother was a magic user. Being the one to visit the storm castle and detect Muraken's presence, it was obvious that she knew. And Jean was certain that she knew about Muraken. He had no doubt that Siren was also aware of her knowing about the Black Dragon. Our dear youngest brother, using magic even though he's a Runcandle. A free-flying teenager, I see. He's gonna cut you in half, hee. Luna walked towards Jean and spoke in a playful tone. I'm also worried about the young master's magic, Lady Luna. If the patriarch hears about this, he won't sit still. No, Gilly. Father probably already knows. The destruction of the Teasing clan and André Zipful's death. He probably already assumed that it was all done by me. Luna nodded at her brother's conviction. You're pretty confident while saying that. You got something planned. Yes, elder sister. I'm planning to go see father with you tomorrow. Oh, sure. We can go see Fa. What? Luna stared at Jean in disbelief. Everyone knows that you're impulsive, but wouldn't it be better to stay put when father is turning a blind eye to you? What are you going to do when you meet him? I'm going to warn him that the Zipfuls are executing multiple plans to strike at the Runcandles. The life in Gilly's face drained, and Muraken was a little surprised. The story about the orb. Wouldn't it be better if I told him about it? A provisional flag-bearer returning to the clan without permission is basically ruining your chances to the throne. As Luna said, a provisional flag-bearer could not enter the Garden of Swords without permission. It was equivalent to a forfeit. No, if you were the one to tell him, you would also have to mention that I summoned you to the island. It's better if I confront him myself. And with the story as the base, I plan to strike a deal with father. Gilly spat out the water that she was drinking, shocked at the younger Runcandle's declaration. Why, young master, you're joking, right? On top of returning to your clan, you're going to make a deal with your dad. Ha, what in the world? I would have never thought of that. Not even through my entire lifetime. The very idea of striking a bargain with Siren Runcandle doused the group in awkward silence. Was that even possible? Even Luna was concerned that her brother might have hurt his head during the battle. What do you plan on bargaining for from father? There are too many, so I'm planning to choose one or two while on the way there. I can see how tiresome it is for Gilly to deal with you. Losing your chances of being a flag-bearer is not the problem. One wrong move and you'll die. What should we do, Gilly? Stopping him will be futile, so is beating some sense into him the right answer? If the situation doesn't go well, you can just calm him down. Luna ultimately didn't beat Jean, but Gilly could only sigh at the sight of her young master's impulses. Don't worry, Gilly. If I block with my body, then father will not be so harsh. Lady Luna. In that case, I shall follow you, young master. Ah, not you too. I'm tired. Contrary to her words, Luna thought it was nice of Gilly to volunteer. I'm sure she's scared, but is she declaring that if she were to die, she will die with Jean? The youngest is very lucky to have such a protective guardian. She was a little heartbroken. After all, Luna knew the backstory of how Gilly McRowland became Nanny Gilly. If she hadn't become Jin's guardian, then she would have become the McRowlands' next generation's strongest sword. A destiny very similar to that of Jean. Muraken cleared his throat, attracting everyone's attention. Eldest daughter of Runcandle. I shall go together with Strawberry Pie. The great black dragon should remain here. Even if you go, wouldn't you have to stay as a cat the entire time? I understand. Disappointed, Murakan turned into a cat and lowered his tail. However, no one really turned to look at him, so Murakan sauntered over to an adjacent room, where Yuria and Enya were playing. At least there, he was the center of attention. Alright, then. Tomorrow, we'll depart for the first transfer gate. It hasn't even been a month, but it feels like it's been a long time. The day passed, and right before their departure to the Garden of Swords, Jean visited Cashimir's office. Young Master Jean. Sir Cashmere, I came for some favors. Favors? No need. You and I now share the same fate, so all of my powers and acquisitions are yours as well. Jean knew that Cashmere was the fallen prince of Vermont and that his daughter was A.Z. Mills' contractor. Cashmere knew that Jean was a Runcandle provisional flag bearer who was a talented magic user and got along well with dragons. Essentially, they both had information that enabled them to hold each other by the throat. Which is why they shared the same fate. On top of that, Cashmere felt indebted to Jean. Although he didn't directly bring back Lathri, ultimately, it was Jean who saved his daughter. If I never met you, I would be watching my daughter suffer and die without knowing. I would never be able to repay this debt even until my final days. Cashmere's eyes were glistening. He's very sensitive and delicate, even more so than I expected. I mean, in my past life, I heard that the free city of Tychon was established during the era of Holy Kings. A very romantic and emotional time period. While Jean looked for an answer, Cashmere hurriedly wiped his eyes with a handkerchief. My apologies. The mood would have been ruined. Anyways, what do you want me to prepare? Tell me anything you need. Please tell the 7-colored peacock to research and investigate these things. He pulled out a piece of paper from his chest pocket and lent it to Cashmere. Written on the paper was a list of the Zipful's wrongdoings that Jean witnessed. The creation of living golems at the Colin ruins, and his experiences fighting against the demon god's orb. Including everything regarding the cemetery giants in the Curano dukedom, which Murakan confessed on discovering as he explained the Orb of Origin yesterday. Cashmere's eyes shook after reading through the paper. Creation of living golems. If the world finds out, everyone's respect for the Zipful clan would plummet. As for the demon god's orb. Since nobody knows of the Orb of Origin, I will not approach this problem. Alright. However, this is information that shouldn't be exposed to the public. If anything happens, the Zipfuls will conceal their illicit actions even further. I agree. I will order investigations to the most trustworthy agents. On the contrary, may I ask why you want the real name of this gangster named Spiderhand Alu and information regarding Vishikal Ivliano? Cashmere simply asked about the purpose of the investigation in order to confirm whether Jean also thought of Cashmere as a companion. Jean answered him without hesitation. We caused the destruction of the Teesing clan and found out back then that Alu had ties with a Runcandle. As for Vishikal. Recently, there were some weird things that happened at the banquet. However, I'm not certain of anything, so it's hard to answer. I understand. Although I can resolve the Alu and Vishikal cases very quickly, I don't know how long the other cases will take. It's alright. Investigating the Zipful clan is not an easy task. The two met eyes, and Jean extended his arm for a handshake. I look forward to our partnership, Sir Cashmere. I as well, young Master Jean. I will prepare some high-quality wine in the belief that you will return in one piece from the Garden of Swords. There are many things I would like to discuss with you. The free city of Tychon will soon become a country, and you will become its closest friend. Cashmere met Jin's hand. Within the hour, Jean left Cashmere's residence and prepared to board a carriage with Luna and Gilly to leave for the transfer gate. Chapter 82. Meeting Siren, 2, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Early in the morning, the Huphester Alliance's transfer gate lacked people. Yet, as soon as Jean, Luna, and Gilly arrived, they attracted the attention of the few people who were there. Mainly because of Luna. Jin's face had not been widely known yet. But when it came to Luna, people would notice her anywhere she went. And being the Runcandle clan's military ally, the people of the Huphester Alliance especially paid more attention to her. However, nobody spoke to her nor mentioned her name. Instead, that night, there would be bustling talk about her visit to the city. This is why I don't like moving around. I usually enjoy a small rural area where nobody knows me. How could you say that the outdoors are more comfortable? While Luna complained, Jean pulled down his hood to partially cover his face. The transfer gate security ran towards them. All hail. I am honored to escort the first flag-bearer of Runcandle. Since we're going to the Garden of Swords, please call a carriage for us. Luna received the salutes and responded. Yes, ma'am. The security officers ran off. Although they were not directly affiliated with the Garden of Swords, they received financial compensation from the Runcandles for their work. It was the same for all knights in the Huphester Alliance. After 10 minutes, a steel carriage belonging to the Runcandle clan arrived at the VIP waiting hall. The person who brought the vehicle was the clan's second butler, Petro. Conveniently, he had come to the transfer gate to deliver some important documents. Lady Luna. The main house was petrified because of your sudden disappearance. Where have you been, huh? And young Master Jean. Gilly. Why are you with the eldest daughter? Petro's eyes widened. To his knowledge, these three people shouldn't be together. A provisional flag-bearer acting with the first flag bearer was unacceptable. It seems there is some backstory to this nonsense. Well, let's go, lady. There are too many eyes here. You guys go to the main house first and tell them the news. Petro looked around and told the Guardian Knights to go ahead. He was worried that there would be rumors of Luna being together with Jean. Clop, clop. The carriage began to move, and Petro still couldn't suppress his discomfort. What the hell is going on? At this rate, if young Master Jean arrives at the house, then the Garden of Swords would definitely turn upside down. Luna's sudden disappearance was dismissible because it often happened. But a provisional flag-bearer returning without permission when it hadn't even been a month since they left. At that point, if blood dropped from the sky, nobody would be surprised. Lady Luna, young Master Jean. It may seem a little tactless, but I have something to ask. You're already making it awkward, so shut up. I'm also very concerned. Understood. Unaware of the embarrassment burning Petro from the inside, the carriage and its passengers departed for the Garden of Swords. We came here, but what should we do if Father gets furious? Do I have to pray that Gilly takes Jean and escapes while I block Father's attacks? There were too many stationed Guardian Knights to do that. Even without them, running away from the other Runcandle children was impossible for Gilly alone. Additionally, the nanny's power was currently being suppressed. As they got closer to the Garden of Swords, Luna got more and more uncomfortable. Whatever happens, happens. There's no way Father will try to kill him, right? I mean. No, he definitely has the drive to do so. Luna gave up on thinking through the situation and stared at Jean. Even I'm sweating from anxiety, but this kid is annoyingly straight-faced. In fact, Jean was leaning on a window, lost in thought. Of the things he planned to request from Siren, he was deciding which would be more strategically advantageous for him. Youngest brother. Yes, eldest sister. You better be really nice to me. Of course. The carriage stopped. In the courtyard, there were countless swords with the hilts sticking out of the ground. A few servants were working about. The Guardian Knights on standby raised their swords in salute at the sight of the carriage's arrival. Petro opened the carriage door, and Luna stepped out. Subsequently, Gilly and Jean disembarked the carriage, startling the servants. Even the lowest-class servants expected something bad to happen in the near future. Receiving the reports from the guardian knights who left earlier on Petro's orders, Jin's siblings emerged from the residence. This crazy bastard. Youngest brother. Do you not have any respect or responsibility after leaving the house? How dare you enter the Garden of Swords as a provisional flag-bearer? The first one to exclaim was the fourth son, Vigo Runcandle. Next to him were the fourth and fifth daughters, Mew and Anne. Probably the result of eldest sister's kindness. I don't think eldest sister Luna can help you this time. This is really not okay. Luna, Jean, and Gilly stood still and remained silent. On the other hand, as the man who brought them here, Petro felt like he was sitting on thorns. Ha, they're getting scolded as expected. The servants couldn't even murmur. After some time, they stopped their work in the courtyard and frantically fled to safety. Jin's disobedience of the rules was that severe. From the residence, the second daughter Luncia, third daughter Mary, and second son Deepoo's emerged. Wow! It's more shocking in person. What is it, youngest idiot? Are you forfeiting your chance of becoming a flag-bearer? Or is your puberty compelling you to commit suicide? Deepoo's clicked his tongue and looked towards Mary. However, Mary did not respond and instead continued to glare at Jean. You dumbass. You can't come back yet. You have to get stronger and fight me someday. From the moment she gifted him the Phoenix Heart, she was awaiting a great battle with Jean. But now, with Jean standing before them, she could only be confused and disappointed. As the culprits stood like statues, Luncia sighed and walked towards them. Eldest sister Luna, for what reason did you bring him back? Luncia spoke with a soft tone, but her eyes held a cold, violent glare. I didn't bring him here. He brought himself. Then you should have stopped him. Just because his head is empty doesn't mean you can just allow this. Even though Luncia shouted at her, Luna didn't really have anything to say. After all, she was more or less correct. Whatever. So, where's father? Annoyed, Luna turned her head away from all of the insults. Ever since she was young, Luna had a hard time dealing with Luncia, which explained why the second daughter was the only sibling who could talk to her in this manner. Oh my! Did you really return to see father? Indeed, sister. Luncia face-bombed and spat some curses. If Luna wasn't there, the Runcandle siblings would have ripped Jean to shreds. What a wonderful family. Jean sarcastically praised his family. Luncia shook her head and sighed. I don't know what he'll do, big sister. You, youngest. I don't know why you even came to see father, but brace yourself. Go ahead. He's in his study. Jean moved his feet and Luna began to follow him. Shing. Along with the siblings, all of the guardian knights unsheathed their swords. As of now, please surrender your weapon and wait, first flag-bearer. There was a strict order from the Patriarch that we must send Jean Runcandle alone. Their father, the Patriarch, the eldest daughter, the first flag-bearer. Luncia stopped screaming at Luna because she wanted to deal with this problem professionally. Additionally, it was on Siren's orders. Ah, this isn't how I expected it to turn out. Luna thought. At this rate, if their father decides to kill Jean, she won't be there to become Jin's shield. And if I decline? As Luna slowly reached for Crantle, a guardian knight stood behind Gilly and put a sword to her throat. Since her powers were still suppressed, she couldn't even react. Please halt, first flag-bearer. It is the Patriarch's orders. You little. Put that sword away. You've crossed the line. If you don't offer a satisfactory discussion to father, then you will not return alive. As for the first flag-bearer, you can't evade banishment. Please surrender your weapon. If you resist, I will kill her. Luna gritted her teeth. We're doomed. Should I just escape with Jean? Damn it. I knew I didn't think this through. I didn't think anything would happen since I thought father favored Jean. If she fought them and escaped, they were likely to succeed. However, she probably couldn't save Gilly and would live the rest of her life being chased by the Runcandle clan. Of course, losing Luna, who had become a 5-star knight at the age of 15, the genius among geniuses, and the strongest knight after Siren, would be a great loss for the clan. However, the Runcandle clan wasn't a rational clan. Even though they would lose a significant amount of power as a consequence, the orders of the Patriarch were absolute. At this point, Jean had no choice but to satisfy Siren's will. Still, Jean was expressionless the entire time. Brothers, sisters. It seems that you are all worked up. As a son, as a member of the Runcandle clan, I only came to report something to father. Please calm yourselves. His siblings held back their glares and lowered their voices. They were all just keeping an eye on Luna with a professional attitude. Eldest sister Luna and Gilly, I apologize for putting you in such a situation. Jean began to walk towards the residence. He did expect such a reaction from their family, but he would be lying if he said he wasn't nervous. My siblings don't know father that well. It's against the rules for a provisional flag bearer to return to the main house. But surprisingly, father isn't that strict with rules. Either way, getting something from Siren without any fear of danger was impossible. He couldn't evade the gamble. On top of that, after his regression, Jean thought that it was much easier to understand his father. Usually, he couldn't even look his father in the eye. Now, however, Jean found it most comfortable when confronting him. If I just stay alert, then I can succeed. If he just gives me a chance to talk, I must. Phew. Jean took a deep breath as he arrived at the study's door and carefully knocked. Knock. Knock. Swoosh. Simultaneously, a blade beam flew past Jin's head, undetectable to Jean at the moment. I guess I thought of you too highly. I'm sure I gave you 5 years. Siren's booming voice followed soon after. The blade beam disintegrated the door to the study into dust. As he looked at his father, Jean felt himself smile internally. For some reason, his mind became calm the moment he saw Siren. And the things he wanted to discuss constantly popped up in his mind. I can't say that I'm sorry. I must maintain a confident attitude, but not to a point where it comes off as disrespectful. He immediately chose his response. I came because I wanted to see you again, father. Chapter 83. Meeting Siren, 3, you are listening at novelfull.audio. FSSSSSH. The former intact door's dust flew away silently. I've heard about it many times. Father's blade beam is at the level of instantly disintegrating anything it touches. Since there were remnants of the object, albeit in the form of dust, saying that it was completely disintegrated was inaccurate. However, Siren's swordsmanship was still composed of techniques that transcended humanity. In fact, he didn't even have his sword in his hand. Instead, at the tip of his fingers were the glowing embers of residual aura, implying that he temporarily conjured a sword. Although the destroyed door was a murderous threat, Jean felt like he received a present. He was showing me a close up of the edge of his sword. Siren, with his eyes wide open, looked down upon Jean. This time, even Jean couldn't decipher his expression. Should I have greeted father differently? Since my head is still intact, I don't think it was that bad, and Siren was doused with a strange feeling. For 5 minutes, none of them exchanged any words. The patriarch could only feel his throat drying up as he thought of his youngest son. It was because it's the first time I heard my child say that they missed me. His feelings were genuine, and Jin's words rendered him speechless. He had 13 children, but they all just called him father. Beyond that name, he had never formed relationships with them. The Runcandle children's childhoods were the nanny's responsibilities. And as soon as the children became 1 year old and completed the selection ritual, they would be sent to the Mytel Kingdom to spend their early years. After hitting the age of 10 and returning to the Garden of Swords, the children were bound to fear Siren and Rosa. It was because they learned about their parents through different classes and lectures at the Storm Castle. Beyond being parents, they were the absolute rulers of the massive clan. In fact, they held power that could twist and turn the world. If possible, the children would be taught through blood and violence should they fail to produce good results. So, of course, Siren and Rosa didn't expect any "I wanted you see you" from their children after putting them into such an environment. All they wanted was to determine the next line to the throne, the one to continue Siren's grand legacy of being the world's greatest swordsman. Only that was important. Not bad. It had been a long time since his heart was filled with emotion. Looking back, after rising to the demigod realm, it was his youngest son who always moved him. Although I praise you for moving your father's heart, that is still not enough. Alright, let's hear what you have to say. Siren gently smiled. You came to see me. Did you get infected with awkward familial love after drinking sewage water? I didn't expect that kind of response from you. Not a bad reaction. Ascertaining a good response, Jean lowered his head and continued to lie a little more. Envied, I didn't drink some sewage water. I have always loved you, father. Siren suppressed his laughter and unleashed his fatal air, causing the air in the room to suddenly become as sharp as a knife. Every breath he took felt as if spikes were piercing through his lungs. Jean gritted his teeth in pain and met eyes with Siren. Enough with the nonsense. State your reason for your return to the garden. According to the quality of your response, you and your sister's fate will be sealed. And that was the truth. Siren had full intentions of beheading Jean the moment he responded with some useless stuff. Then instantly erased Jean from his heart afterwards. The same way he slashed and killed his own siblings and companions before he became the patriarch. The one who was insulted by you during the banquet, the Zipful's second-in-command, has died. What? Are you saying you killed him? No, father. A few days ago, eldest sister Luna killed him. And I was the one who called her. Would you allow me to state my experiences after being declared a provisional flag-bearer? A provisional flag-bearer receiving help from Luna. How insolent. Well, keep talking. Finding the story to be interesting, Siren stroked his beard. Jean then explained his narrative from his days in Akin and Tychon, all the way to the events in the Vermont Empire. Of course, he didn't report every single thing. Jean made sure not to mention the suspicions of Spiderhand Alu having ties with a Runcandle, Myelta's rune, Senmi's tome, and his alliance with the 7-colored peacock. It seems you have experienced many things in a short period. So, you came to tell me that you killed Andre Zipfel. Are you hoping that you caused some imbalance in the world after killing the second-in-command of a powerful clan? That's not all, father. After confronting him, I don't think that Andre is the clan's true second strongest. Siren raised his eyebrow. Ho! And why is that? There is no way that man is the second-in-command of the one clan that could destroy the Runcandles. Well, it's a hunch anyway. Precisely. As you said, he is just second-in-command by name. He's not really the second strongest in the Zipfel clan. There probably is another strong being after Keliark. Though, it's not information that I could tell you now anyway. Thank you for confirming my suspicions, father. However, what I really wanted to tell you was regarding the existence of Andre's strange artifact. Artifact? Yes. An artifact called the Demon's God's Orb. Jean continued explaining what he knew about the orb. He mentioned that it was a replica of an item of the gods called the Orb of Origin, and that it got stronger after each contractor it consumed. And surprisingly, Siren was shocked. His eyes widened. A replica of the Orb of Origin. Is this true? There's no way you could identify the artifact's powers and abilities. It seems your guardian dragon, Murakan, informed you about this. Yes, my guardian Dra, huh? You knew that he had awakened. Jean was startled and stared at his father. Would that be all that I know, I wonder? I also know that you are a magic user. Did you think that you could fool me all this time? I, of course, knew that you would sense it, but I didn't know you detected Murakan's presence all this time. Ha ha ha. Siren burst into laughter. He wanted to laugh because he was proud of his son, and he couldn't hold it in much longer after the banter regarding Murakan. As you said, I merely assumed Murakan's awakening. It's nice to see him figuring out things for himself. Nabi Runcandle. Kukuku. The great and powerful black dragon has plummeted to a house cat. Jean couldn't laugh along with Siren due to embarrassment. While feeling naked, Jean felt his ears burn up. He couldn't even tell his father to stop laughing. Instead, he scratched the back of his head. Is Nabi Runcandle that funny? Well, at least the situation is unraveling well. Siren immediately stopped laughing and fixed his posture. The carefree mood instantly became as heavy as a boulder. A replica of the Orb of Origin. You have really brought a heavy case onto the table. I must talk with Luna who broke the artifact. Siren already knew about the Orb of Origin fairly well. I wonder if the kings of the Black Sea know about this as well. I should return to the Black Sea. Certainly, that power is dangerous, but I don't know how well they mimic the original. After rising to the demigod realm, Siren spent most of his time in the Black Sea. He dueled the kings of the Black Sea many times, and each king was a piece of the Orb of Origin. Just this once, I will pardon you for breaking the rules. But you wouldn't be satisfied with just this, considering you physically came here instead of just telling me through a messenger. Jean slightly bowed and Siren gently grinned. Declare your request. It was all Jean wished for. Before Jean even proposed the deal, Siren offered the gift before him. But Jean knew. Father wouldn't just let me walk away with something for free. Once I declare my request, he'll definitely add some terms and conditions. He had to think hard. If he asked for something too big, then the conditions would be too strict. But that didn't mean he could back off. The person sitting on the compromising end was Siren. For the time being, please do not allow any Runcandle to travel through the free city of Tychon. Tychon. Interesting. Siren's eyes glinted with an eerie light. Oh ho, youngest runt. You already made it your main base. The free city of Tychon, living up to its name, Tychon was a land that wasn't affiliated with anyone, be it the Runcandles, Zipfels, or the Vermont imperial family. Simultaneously, all three powers aimed to colonize that land. It wasn't for power or resources, attaining the 7-colored peacock, intellectual prowess, and the trade center would be a wonderful 3.1 gain. It was just a free gold coin on the ground. Tychon wasn't worth fighting other clans to acquire the land, but it was still wasteful to leave such an easy acquisition alone. If he is settling there and has it as his main base, it is likely that Tychon would be under the Runcandle clan after all of this. This baby couldn't have possibly already formed ties with Kashmir. Well, it's worth watching for a while. Siren hid how proud he was of Jin's achievements and spoke. I shall accept your request if you pass the test I give you. Yes, father. Please tell me what kind of test it is. Ghostblade Kashmir. Make him join you and prove to me that he is your ally. If you succeed, then no Runcandle will be able to step on Tychon without your permission. Doubting his ears, Jean let out a refreshing scream in his mind. After all, Kashmir was already Jin's ally. Yes, father. I already planned on establishing a strong and friendly rapport with him. Because just leaving Taiken untouched would be wasteful. All this time, other provisional flag bearers worked to raise their own name to fame. However, Siren found Jin's attention towards the clan's strength to be very impressive and interesting. You have 1 year. That insolent fool refused to become the instructor of the Runcandle cadet trainees multiple times. I'll see if you could coax him into your cause. I will bring him to you quickly. Alright, now proceed on your path. After bowing and exiting the study, Jin would have hummed a song. Everything I did in my past life didn't go well, but this life is going pretty smoothly. However, when he reached the bottom of the stairs, his expression froze at the sight of 2 boys running towards him. Jin, are you okay? Did father say that he'll let you live? Why did you even do this? After Jin left the courtyard to see their father, the Tana twins were very concerned about his imminent death. However, they were afraid of their other siblings, so they stayed inside and bit their nails. You guys act too cute sometimes. I'm fine. Besides, I have a favor to ask. Chapter 84. A terrifying clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Favor. The Tana twins tilted their heads. They were already astonished by their youngest sibling returning alive after meeting their father, but him asking for a favor out of nowhere was very confusing for them. Oh, it's nothing too grand. My faction's cadets. Until I come back, please take care of them. I'll also tell them myself before I leave. Before the Tana twins could even respond, Jin walked away. He had to tell Luna and Gilly, who were probably worried sick, that he was okay. Nothing changed about him. He came back from meeting father, right? Right. Watching Jin's back, the Tana twins shrugged. Wait, why are you worrying about him so much in the first place? I don't know. Whatever. Well, I guess he's gonna leave his faction's cadets to us. Hee. I guess we gotta deal with the intermediate classes. Outside, the siblings guarding Luna and Gilly were shocked at the sight of Jin walking out of the doors unscathed. Mioen especially, who really wanted Jin to die, grew pale in the face. It seems like father and the youngest had a nice talk. Now, why don't you move your sword? Before I kill all of you. At Luna's low tone, her siblings and the guardian knights immediately lowered their weapons. The guardian knight who had a blade on Gilly's throat was about faint, eyes rolling back in the presence Luna's murderous glare. Damn, you little runt. You luckily survive each time. Mioen thought while grinding their teeth. As expected, he's not a guy who would die that easily. Grow a little older and entertain your older sister. Mary grinned while looking at Jin. Eldest sister Luna, I think you should pay father a visit. He seems to be curious about some things regarding the events of that day. Alright, I understand. I've also received some homework from him, so I will make a trip to the transfer gate. I'll see you later. Transfer gate. I don't know what kind of homework that is, but I'll see you. Jin and Luna calmly exchanged words. In fact, the others had no idea what they were talking about. That day. A trip to the transfer gate. Wait, does that mean he's gonna come back? What does he mean by father giving him homework? And it wasn't anything to ask about either. The siblings could only exchange glances. Let's go, Gilly. Oh, yes, young master. Gilly never expected the situation to proceed smoothly, so she was still in a state of awe. They quickly left the Garden of Swords, and Luna proceeded to the study. All the rest of their siblings could do in the courtyard was to stand around and do nothing. ******. 3 hours later, in Siren's study. Although he didn't show it, Siren was a little surprised that Jin confronted him with a confident expression. Just as I expected. You weren't startled at all after hearing the details about the test. Your confidence wasn't for nothing. Siren puffed a laugh and directed his eyes towards Kashmir. He had just traveled through the transfer gate to come to the Garden of Swords while hiding his identity. This man is the world's strongest knight, Siren Runcandle. Just meeting him is making my stomach ache. Kashmir had refused multiple offers of being the instructor of Runcandle's beginner class cadets. In the process of making Taiken a country, becoming an instructor in the Runcandle clan would not help at all. Moreover, it would be a distraction from his main goals. Additionally, Siren was someone he didn't want to meet. Though, Kashmir couldn't blame Siren for feeling disrespected when he rejected the offer multiple times. Furthermore, if Siren tried to ally with Taiken, Kashmir wouldn't have many ways to resist it. Well, I came because of young Master Jin's favor. But it's very awkward. Have I been declining a favor from this person all this time? Actually seeing Siren for the first time. The overwhelmingness was way beyond the rumors. Although Kashmir was also a pretty strong knight, he knew that his swordsmanship was child's play in the presence of Siren. So this is the dignity of the absolute strongest. Still, let's keep our composure. Kashmir grew conscious of Jin's goals and fixed his posture. I am young Master Jin's guest. There's no need to fear Lord Siren, so your Ghostblade Kashmir. Yes, however, it's embarrassing for Lord Siren to call me Ghostblade, so please refrain from doing so. He instinctively stuttered as he responded. He himself didn't even know what he was saying. Inside, he shed tears, and from the outside, sweat ran down his face. He didn't even feel embarrassed from the fact that Jean was right next to him. Give me a break. Last time I almost got beat by Sir Murakan. This time, it's showing disrespect towards Lord Siren. It seemed that after meeting Jean, he just kept meeting troublesome people. Father. Proceed. To describe my relationship with Sir Kashmir, we have intertwined fates, or something like that. Moving on, it is now your turn to keep your end of the promise. Kashmir doubted his ears as he listened to Jin's perfectly enunciated speech. Young Master Jin, how are you so confident when talking to Lord Siren? And having intertwined fates. I know I said that first, but if you say that in front of Lord Siren. For a moment, multiple possible dark outcomes zipped through Kashmir's brain. Kashmir. So you and my son have intertwined fates. In that case, Taiken now belongs to the Runcandles. You share the same fate. The Runcandle clan and Taiken can do that too, then. If that's so, starting today, the Runcandle clan and the free city of Taiken would also have intertwined fates. Ha ha ha. Kashmir envisioned Siren in these horrific conversations. Of course, that was only a result of Kashmir's fear. You petty runt. You dare trick your father. Completely different from Kashmir's imagination, Siren looked down on Jean with an undecipherable expression. In reality, Siren was very satisfied. He didn't know what Jean did to meet Kashmir, but his youngest son was surpassing his expectations. What do you mean by trick, father? You're mistaken. I was merely lucky. In fact, as soon as I arrived in Taiken, we immediately formed relations. Alright. Anyways, you passed the test. Starting today, no Runcandle will step into Taiken without your permission. Even if that Runcandle is me. Thank you, father. If that is all, you can go on ahead. I have other things to talk about with Kashmir. Jean bowed and left the study. Being left with Siren alone, Kashmir cleared his throat while looking at Jin's back, getting farther and farther. Don't get too nervous. You make it look as if I'm going to eat you or something, haha. I apologize. Lord Siren, I'll be honest. Seeing you in person, I cannot hide the respect and fear within me. Siren said nothing and walked towards the tea table. He brewed a cup of tea and handed it to Kashmir, who received the teacup with 2 hands. The reason I dismissed the youngest and kept you here, Kashmir unintentionally gulped. Is he going to talk about forming an alliance? Or maybe to ask for the reason as to why I constantly declined the Runcandle instructor position offer? In the midst of his guest's fretting, Siren continued. Is because I wanted to request something from you. Cashimir's heart sank at the word request. However, he reminded himself that he was going to be the leader of many and will soon become the ruler of a country. I can't act like an idiot. If he asks for Tychon, I have to firmly refuse. Strengthening his resolve, Cashmere looked Siren in the eye. I am listening, Lord Siren. If it's anything that doesn't harm Tychon, I am more than happy to help. His response drew the line, but Siren didn't really care. Cashmere calmed his burning insides and waited for Siren's next response. From now on, yes, Lord Siren. Please report my youngest son's progress whenever you can. I think he needs some supervision. It was something completely unexpected. Well, it isn't about an alliance, so that's good. And I can infer how much Lord Siren cares for young Master Jean. A Runcandle, the Siren Runcandle, cared for someone. He didn't expect this kind of favor. Cashmere began to wonder more about their father-son relationship. I knew something was off. Enough for Lord Siren to request for supervision. According to the 7-colored peacock's information, he doesn't even care about Joshua, who is presumed to inherit the throne. Cashmere nodded. That is not at all difficult, Lord Siren. If you just establish a faster means of communication, then I will report every single bit of information. This was an opportunity for Cashmere. It was a way for him to repay his debt to Siren as well as a direct contact to the Runcandle clan. Being able to contact Siren Runcandle at will wasn't an easy feat. It was a special offer that even Emperor Vermont did not have. I am very grateful. I won't forget your kindness. And no one should know about this agreement. Affirmative. I will keep it a secret, even to young Master Jean. Before you leave, a guardian knight named Khan will give you an address. Direct all your reports there. If there is a special conflict, please come here yourself and tell me. I will even offer you good wine. Thank you, Lord Siren. You are dismissed. When Cashmere bowed and prepared to leave, Siren opened his mouth once more. Oh, Anne, yes. I am listening. Brace yourself. The youngest said that he wasn't satisfied with just the Runcandle clan. I am expecting great growth from you and Tychon. Enough for him to want your country. Afterwards, before they left for Tychon, Cashmere wasn't able to meet the guardian knight named Khan. I'm pretty sure he said that he'd establish a means of communication. Do I have to come back when young Master Jean isn't present? Confused, he shoved his hands in his pockets and felt an unknown piece of paper. A note. Greetings, Sir Cashmere. I am Khan, a Runcandle guardian knight. The Patriarch's address is. Cashmere didn't notice that Khan had already approached him and slipped the note into his pocket when he wasn't looking. Realizing how quickly executed the action was, goosebumps raised on Cashmere's skin. It means that they could easily get rid of me without anyone noticing. The Runcandle clan, truly is a terrifying clan. Cashmere turned his head towards Jean, who could possibly become the next patriarch of the said fearsome clan. How does it feel knowing that Tychon is guaranteed to be free from any Runcandle, Sir Cashmere? I'm very confused at this very moment, but I really look forward to the things about to come. Cashmere frantically hid the note and grinned. Chapter 85. Take Down Elisa. 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Volume 4 Chapter 85, Take Down Elisa. 1. Translator, J. Proofreader, Yukito Okada. Early August of 1795, the Zipfel Press finally officially declared the death of the second-in-command Andrei Zipfel, and his dragon, Violetta. Despite the official declaration, the cause of death wasn't clarified. Even the date of death was made up. Additionally, Quickantle's or Jin's name was not mentioned anywhere. Nonetheless, it was groundbreaking news. The Runcandles, Vermont imperial family, and other powers including the Hidden Palace heightened their senses and watched the situation unravel. In light of the news, many rumors spread amongst the people. Rumors that he was killed off for losing in political disputes, or that he lost in a heated duel against a grand magician named Cold Joe. Or that Emperor Vermont ordered the Vermont Special Forces to assassinate him. However, the more popular rumor was the flag-bearers of the Runcandle clan killed him. There was also, the master of the Hidden Palace, Talaris Indorma, assassinated him, though that one didn't gain too much attention. Of course, the official location of death was a remote island in the Vermont Empire, and at the time, the flag-bearers of the Runcandle clan were at the Garden of Swords. On top of that, the Zipfel clan and Vermont imperial family weren't able to identify the mana that would have proven Luna's involvement. But to the masses, the truth didn't matter. They thought that the more interesting narrative deserved to be the truth, more than the truth itself. Will the Runcandles begin to dominate the entire world? After the press release, bar regulars endlessly debated. Which is stronger, swords or magic? Many thought that the Runcandles and the Zipfels would finally start a war. They definitely believed that Andre's killer was a Runcandle. And it wasn't only the commoners who found interest in foreign politics, but also the nobles and soldiers. Especially the neutral powers who were not directly affiliated with the Runcandle clan, Vermont imperial family, the Zipfel clan, or other big clans. Just like the Hidden Palace, they maintained a neutral state. But unlike the Hidden Palace, smaller clans couldn't defend themselves in an emergency. Which basically compelled them to take a side between the Runcandles and Zipfels. If a war broke out between swords and magic, the neutral states in the Grey region would become of leaves being swept away should they get caught in the middle of it. And surprisingly, the neutral powers sought for the sword more than magic. They all huddled towards the Runcandle clan instead of the Zipfel clan despite the latter being deemed the strongest at the moment. Lord Patriarch, today, the Shounen Kingdom's prince and 5 second-class mercenary troops requested protection from the clan. Following the death of Andre, it seems we get protection requests every day. The rumors sure do seem scary. The Runcandle's first-class butler, Heinz, had been reporting similar information for the 4th day in a row. Return all of their gifts and tell them that the request will be fulfilled. And make sure to offer the Shounen prince a fine sword to make sure he inherits the throne. Understood. I will send an 8-star guardian knight. Alright, you're dismissed. As long as the requester was not an immediate enemy to Siren, he accepted any favor. Although the neutral clans didn't have any presence in the world and didn't really support the Runcandles at all, the smaller clans would be something of use once the clan of Swordmasters take down the Zipfels and become the ruler of the world. As more and more clans sought to ally with the Runcandle clan, more rumors spread amongst the common folk, that the Zipfels can no longer overtake the Runcandles. And the fact that all of the neutral forces sided with the Runcandle clan made the rumor seem all the more likely. I believe this is because of the youngest's horseplay on that remote island. Some kind of butterfly effect. I'm sure he's hearing these rumors in Tychon as well. Siren thought about his son as Heinz left. Of course, the rumors of the Runcandles surpassing the Zipfels was merely a rumor. The Zipfel clan was doing pretty well, and the truth was that the Runcandle clan was only a little ahead. We were able to absorb many neutral forces recently. That provisional flag-bearer is already making big changes for the clan. He's a very interesting fellow, Siren grinned and summoned Guardian Knight Khan. At your service, Lord Patriarch. Any messages from Kashmir? Khan could barely contain his surprise. I knew young Master Jean was special ever since the Storm Castle, but I never would have thought that the Lord Patriarch would give him so much attention. He's itching to know. It was Khan's first time seeing Siren like this. When Joshua became a 9-star knight, Siren didn't even flinch. There were none, Lord Patriarch. All right. Siren responded with disappointment, and Khan lowered his head as if it was his fault. The day after tomorrow, I will be leaving for the Black Sea once again. If there are any reports on him, come find me and inform me. Understood. Reaper scans after coming back from the Garden of Swords, Jean, who Siren yearned to hear about, dedicated his time to personal training. If it wasn't for eldest sister Luna, I would have died on the island in the Vermont Empire. After his regression, although his swordsmanship and magic had reached 5-star, and his spiritual energy would soon reach 5-star. Considering the events coming soon, it's not enough. Which made Jean feel impatient. He felt it the most after the fight on the island. Although he was very talented and strong in terms of a 15-year-old, there weren't many enemies that he could face by himself. I need to get stronger. In the 5 years that my father gave me, I need to get strong enough to take down all of my siblings, enough to not need anyone's help. And Luna, especially, motivated him. An opponent whom Murakan and Quicantle couldn't land a finger on was defeated with a single slash of a sword. She looked like the god of battle. However, even the god of battle went to the Garden of Swords, dropped her weapon, and got humiliated. Just because she had to save someone weaker. Jin's enemies were like that, targeting his companions first so they couldn't help him. Swoosh! Bradamanti swept through the air violently. After slashing over 10,000 times, his muscles felt like exploding, and his bones felt like shattering. However, Jean felt worry more than pain. Although Mind's Eye is still beyond my reach. In 5 years, I must reach the Mind's Blade absolute realm that eldest sister showed me. Mind's Blade. Blood Moon. It was not a Runcandle secret technique, but a domain that Luna experienced on her own while surpassing Mind's Eye. A realm that could be awakened by casting divine language on the sword, Mind's Blade. Every night's dream. If Luna hadn't realized the special techniques and secrets of her red aura, she would have never achieved Mind's Blade. For you, you can definitely get there in 5 years. First, to awaken your divine language, you need to practice expressing your fervor in your sword. The way to do that is, if you swing your sword 10,000 times, it means that your first and last swing must be similar in terms of effort and technique. That was what Luna told him. Then, is 1,000 consistently identical swings my limit right now? After passing the 15,000 mark, he could no longer tell whether he was swinging the sword or the sword was swinging him. Please stop, young Master Jean. Kashmir was right next to Jean just as he prepared for another swing. Phew. Sir Kashmir. Even when I trained, I never trained as hard as you. If you do this every day, even if you have the Runcandle clan's blessed physique, nothing will be left of you. Enya, who followed behind Kashmir, handed the young Runcandle a towel. Lord Jean. Your face looks dead. Wait, oh heavens. Lord Jean, your hand is all torn. There's blood all over the floor. You. Just like she said, below Jean was a small puddle consisting of blood and sweat, strands of red swirling in the clear water. While Enya wiped Jin's face and called for healers, Kashmir kept his eyes on the puddle. What kind of resilience is this? It's nothing I've ever seen from a 15-year-old boy. Healing magicians rushed over and began to cast healing spells onto Jin's hands. The young Runcandle just sat down, staring at his palms. My apologies for causing a mess, Sir Kashmir, Enya. Why would you abuse those beautiful hands? I think I see some bones. Jean had calluses all over his hands, having held a sword ever since his youth. However, to a fanatic like Enya, it looked like a beautiful sculpture. The healing magicians left, and Kashmir sat next to Jean. The reason you are doing all this, must be because of the events on the island. Indeed. Not only because of Andre and his companion. There would have been too many potentially dangerous moments if it wasn't for Gilly or Murakan. In order to not become a burden to my allies, I must train harder. Lord Jean is the same age as I am. Don't be too impatient. I'll be sad. No, Miss Enya. Young Master Jean is judging himself from a cynical perspective. Kashmir responded, and Enya was startled. You're too mean, Sir Kashmir. Lord Jean is, just like you said, he is very strong. Amongst 15-year-olds, he's probably the strongest. However, I understand young Master Jin's intent. The opponents he will face will neither be young nor normal. Jean slowly nodded. But young Master Jean, impatience is the poison to your growth. I could make your straight path and progress make a turn. Though, Miss Gilly had been saying the same thing every day. As Kashmir said, Gilly also told Jean the same advice every day. That he should slow down a little, or that he's pushing his limits too much. I know well enough about that, but after making up my mind, stopping myself isn't easy. I'm embarrassed. No need for embarrassment. I find it incredible that you are executing a volume of training that no one else can. Instead, how about some training that could cool your mind? Training that could cool my mind. Kashmir grinned. How about a spar? With you? Kashmir shook his head. No. You're still lacking a little to spar against me, so that's for another time, for when you get stronger. Despite his words, Kashmir still wasn't able to notice Guardian Knight Khan sneaking and slipping a note into his pocket. However, that was just Khan being incredible. It wasn't that Kashmir was weaker. After all, the nickname Ghostblade wasn't just given to him for free. Within 6 months, please try to defeat my wife, Elisa Betzer, using all that you've got, sword, magic, and spiritual energy. I can guarantee you, this will be a good learning experience for you. Chapter 86. Take down Elisa. 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Volume 4 Chapter 86, Take down Elisa. 2. Translator, J. Proofreader, Yukito Okada, Elisa Betzer. Along with a massive physique, she had a knife scar on her left eye. She was also Taikon's chief of defense and Ghostblade Kashmir's wife. Take that person down in 6 months. At first glance, she already looked stronger than the criminals in Mummet. Her bulky build made her 2 times bigger than Kashmir, anything but normal. But was she really that strong? Jean had swordsmanship, magic, and spiritual energy. Would it really take 6 months? He had seen her every day for a month after he arrived in Taikon. They ate breakfast at the same table and also bantered every now and then. He didn't truly feel that she was strong. I know that she's a unique person, but will fighting her really be hard when I have magic and spiritual energy? I even defeated a 7-star knight with the use of all my skills. I'm sure Sir Kashmir knows that she's at my level. Despite the doubt, he knew it was going to be fun after seeing Kashmir's confidence in his wife. Lady Elisa, you say? If you say so, there must be a reason. Alright, I will try sparring her. As long as she agrees. She most certainly will. She was getting bored from the lack of fights after becoming the chief of defense. A duel against you will be a great gift for her. As Kashmir said, Elisa showed a refreshed expression as soon as they asked her. She excitedly accepted. Me. With young Master Jean. Haha. Sounds fun. Fighting shriveled criminals was getting boring. Well, I don't see any anymore, since I caught all of them, Mommy and Mr. Jean fighting. Yuria, who was in Elisa's arms, trembled with tears of worry rolling down her face. No, we're not fighting. We're strengthening our friendship. But everyone who fought Mommy lost, well. Anyway, if we strengthened our friendship, who would you cheer for? I want Mr. Jean to win. They said that teaching children would be futile. You little brat. Good 5-year-olds would cheer for their mother. Elisa jokingly spoke and bit her child's cheek, and Uria's next words temporarily made Jean forget how to speak. But, Mr. Jean is much weaker. I will always be on the weak people's side. For people who are weak and suffering. Ha 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 ha. Murakan, who was reading an erotic novel on a nearby sofa, sat himself up and burst into laughter. Weak and suffering Mr. Jean. He 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 he. Ice cream runt, you already know how to judge people. As expected from AZ Mills contractor. With an awkward smile, Jean silently walked over to Murakan and tried to dig his heel into the dragon's foot. Murakan managed to slip his foot out in time, but that didn't stop Jean from snatching his book. You fool, I mean, bad dragon. Didn't I say not to read this kind of stuff in front of a child? I purposefully chose the one with small text and archaic dialect and have been reading it secretly ever since. Put it down, while I'm asking nicely. Where do you keep getting these things? I'm sure you didn't have anything like this when we first left the Garden of Swords. Kashmir cleared his throat in guilt. He had been sourcing 5 erotic novels every week for Murakan. The Great Black Dragon requested it, so as a mere mortal, he could not refuse. Ahem. Anyways, how about you start sparring the day after tomorrow, young Master Jean? For the next 6 months, let's spar every day after I return from work and eat dinner. I should show you why I am Taiken's chief of defense. Every day. That's fine with me, but I think I would be taking too much of your time. Elisa smiled and shook her head. No worries. For the time being, it will end quickly. Reaper scans ****. 2 days later at the underground sparring room in Kashmir's mansion. In order to improve his body's condition, he had taken a 2-day break from his personal training. And since he was in his best condition for their first spar, he planned to compare and inspect his subsequent results. Elisa stood in front of Jean as she loosened her body and spoke. Young Master Jean. Before we begin, I would like to mention something. Please go on, Lady Elisa. I was in the Vermont Special Forces. Before Kashmir became the fallen prince, I was his bodyguard. We left together when he was banished from the Vermont imperial family. Hearing that, Jean instantly understood why he could feel her radiating strength. Unlike the Vermont Empire Imperial Guards, the Vermont Special Forces needed to operate in the shadows. Thus, the first thing they learned was how to conceal their strength. I expected something like this, but a former Special Forces knight. Kashmir didn't say 6 months for nothing. Jean knew that the Vermont Special Forces units were at least 6 stars. However, that was merely a minimum. If she had guarded Prince Kashmir, she was definitely at least a 7 star. On that topic, please don't feel down from losing too much. Also, I don't plan on going easy on you. So, shall we begin? The instant Jean nodded. Whoosh. Elisa closed the gap between them, her fist right in front of Jin's face. Her movement speed wasn't one that a regular 5-star knight could react to. She planned on finishing the first battle with 1 strike. Even though it was just a spar, fighting as if it was the real thing was her ideology. For the past 2 days, I've asked Sir Murakan and Miss Gilly about young Master Jin's past. And from what they said, all he needs is a humiliating failure and the process of standing up against it. For at least 10 days, you won't be able to dodge the first strike. From what she heard, there was always an opportunity and a variable in all the dangerous situations that Jean got in. When he fought Alu, he had a variable called Myolta's rune. When he fought Quicantle, he was able to cut her wing when she least expected it. And very recently, when he fought Andre, he was only able to swing his sword because Murakan and Luna were there. As for his fight against Quasito Truca of the White Wolf tribe, if he knew that Jean had spiritual energy, then he wouldn't have lost. Hence, all of Jin's opponents either let their guard down or did not have enough information on him. On the other hand, Elisa knew all about Jin's abilities. Swordsmanship, magic, and spiritual energy, and also the fact that he had Myulta's rune. Therefore, Elisa decided to show him the reality of being exposed to true danger. For a knight to become stronger, the best way was to simulate danger. And so, Elisa aimed her fist at Jin's face. However, it met the surface of a scabbard instead. He blocked it. Elisa's eyes widened. It wasn't completely blocked, though. Through the scabbard, the shockwave traveled to Jin's body and instinctively made him back off. The staggering made him lose the ability to defend or dodge. There was nothing worse than losing your balance in a battle. Elisa could easily take him out with one more blow. Although, she could only be surprised after being denied a direct attack. I'm sure it was at a speed that he couldn't react to, even accounting for his blessed run-candle physique. Did I get slower? I think I felt like my punches got minusculely slower. Jin was still defenseless. He hadn't even drawn his sword, yet Elisa's second fist was already about to make contact with his ribs. Then, he activated Myulta's rune and wore the helmet. Along with it, he unleashed a spell that he prepared before coming to the underground training area. Photon Cannon. Flash. Even for a trained knight, closing one's eyes due to a blinding flash of light was inevitable. Even in a moment before defeating the opponent. Burk. Pow. Because of the bright light, her stance faltered, causing her punch to not go as expected. Still, it was enough for one of Jin's ribs to be blown. The light couldn't change the fact that the punch was enough to end the battle. Before following up with a third strike, Elisa felt admiration for her opponent. All of those opportunities and variables weren't from luck. He purposely created all of them. I would have never expected him to prepare a spell. It was the same this time. Simply put, Elisa lost in the battle of strategy. I get it now. Blocking my first attack, and using magic to decrease the density of the ground. Because of that, I couldn't harness my true speed. When she looked behind her, she found a deep hole at the spot where she stood beforehand. It was a microscopic difference. If Jean had tampered more with the floor, she would have noticed before the approach. A knight like her would notice such subtleties. It's all right. It'll all be over soon. Jean knew that, when he faced Elisa, the fight would be over in seconds. Before the battle began, he constantly thought of the different variables that could affect their fight. Ultimately, all of the variables he tweaked worked to some extent. But not enough to take down the chief of defense. Crack. The third punch was sent straight into his hip. Jean flew about 3 meters and lay on the floor, and a shock went through Elisa's body. Not because of her sweet victory, but because she was amazed at how much Jean surprised her on the first day. Damn. Little clever tricks weren't enough. Tricks. Elisa was about to correct his word choice. This wasn't some trick but an actual, elaborate plan. Remarkable, young Master Jean. I would have never thought I needed to attack thrice. Jean fell back to the ground, struggling to stand up. Just like Elisa, he was also in shock. As expected from a former Vermont Special Forces knight. All of my variables worked, but I couldn't even draw my sword. He was disappointed and upset, but his heart was still pumping. It was the first time he completely failed, even with his little gimmicks. And as Kashmir mentioned, his mind cooled off. So, Lady Elisa. Yes, young Master Jean. Aren't you going to call a doctor? Oh my, what am I doing? You must be severely injured. Please wait a moment. Elisa frantically ran out, and Jean smirked. I will take her down in less than 6 months' time. Compared to learning and mastering Mind's Blade, defeating Elisa before the aforementioned time was a very attainable goal. In Jin's heart, a great fervor for achievement roared. Chapter 87. Take down Elisa. 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Volume 4 Chapter 87, Take Down Elisa. 3. Translator, J. Proofreader, Yukito Okada, September 27, 1795. The unsupervised land in the east, also known as the Black Sea. For days had already passed since Guardian Knight Khan arrived. Which meant that he hadn't slept a wink for the past 4 days. He had slashed through more than 500 monsters along the way. Even the weakest among the Black Sea's monsters were incomparably stronger than the monsters in known lands. It was because these monsters grew up breathing pure evil energy. Even for a guardian knight like Khan, the slightest mistake could easily result in death, such was the dangers of the Black Sea. Slash. Slash. Although he had an emotionless expression, he couldn't hide his dead, tired eyes. He felt like there were more monsters than usual. I wonder. What kind of information is written on this letter? Khan was suffering like this because he had to deliver a letter from Kashmir to Siren. It was the first after being informed of the secret address. I'm sure it's about the youngest master's growth. But it's only been a month. Has there been rapid and important growth? Enough to report to the Patriarch. He could only wonder. Since Khan's cadet days in the Runcandle clan and being named a monster by his friends, he remembered the tough and strenuous times he went through when he tried to break through the 5-star barrier. There's no way he already achieved 6-star, right? Phew. I hope Lord Patriarch tells me the information as well. Khan charged forward and fought more monsters for 5 hours. Soon after, he finally found Siren sitting in the middle of the Black Sea. Greetings to the Patriarch. This is Khan. Siren, who had already detected Khan's presence, slowly opened his eyes. Khan proceeded to salute him. The Patriarch raised his hand and waved it in a circle. As he moved his hand in the air, all of the monsters in the area fled away, scattering as if they were bugs sprayed with bug repellent. A display of the Genesis Knight's power and dignity. Though, in reality, he was suppressing his happiness. It must be about the youngest. Khan handed the letter over with 2 hands. A letter from Sir Kashmir arrived 10 days ago. I tried to come as fast as possible, but the monsters were very aggressive. I apologize for my incompetence. Siren received the letter with a frown. I should take some time and kill off some of the monsters in the area. If it weren't for them, I would have received this a day earlier. Ist. With a flick of a finger, Siren ripped the letter's seal. The envelope was quite thick. Like an elder who found old diary entries, Siren began to attentively read. To the admired Lord Siren. As a knight of a small city, I am ineffably honored to flip my pen and send a letter to your honor. How is the weather in the Garden of Swords? In the free city of Tychon, it is currently dusk. The soft clouds like velvet, high in the sky, with stars sprinkled here and there, and they seem to sing of your greatness. I will say it once more. I, Kashmir Alf-Leon, am very thankful and honored that you offered a mere knight an opportunity to send a heart-filled letter. I hope the deep effort poured into each character satisfies you. Siren flinched. I also felt it last time, but this guy has a problem. Why is this introduction so long? He was very annoyed, but with the patience of a Genesis Knight, he turned the page. However, the next page was also filled with greetings and thanks, and there wasn't even a single sentence about Jean on the third. Siren sighed and shook his head, and Khan suddenly felt like it was his fault. The Patriarch is angry. Did something happen to young Master Jean? But then, on the 4th page, Siren's expression brightened a little. His eyes began to sparkle, and he slowly began to grin. Ho ho. He even laughed a little. Khan had been Siren's bodyguard for the past 20 years, but it was his first time seeing the Patriarch like this. After Luna declared that she wasn't interested in inheriting the throne, Siren was always cold with his children. Thus, Khan was dying from curiosity. What happened to young Master Jean to make the Patriarch that happy? Khan. Yes, Lord Patriarch. It seems that the youngest is getting beat by Kashimir's wife. Ahahaha. From the time he wrote this letter, it looks like they sparred at least 40 times and Jean lost all of them. Khan couldn't believe his ears. Usually, Siren would click his tongue and call his child weak and powerless, but Khan was surprised that he was amused by the news. That's a lot of losses. The first battle lasted 3 seconds, and the second lasted 5. The 7th lasted 10 seconds, the 20th lasted 20.5, and the 30th lasted 40. I can see how the young master withstands against a 7-star using magic and spiritual energy. In fact, if it's against the same person, he will gradually survive longer. Because Khan was Siren's most prized and trusted guard, he knew all of Jin's secrets as well. Of course, he would never reveal such secrets. Even if Siren were to unreasonably fire him. Indeed. But do you know what happened in the 40th battle? What happened? He lasted over 120 seconds. He overcame a barrier, realized something. Although it was incredible for a 5-star to make so much progress against a 7-star, Khan knew that it wasn't only because of his improved swordsmanship. Khan's eyes widened as Siren continued relaying the contents of the letter. And it says here that Kashimir's wife, Elisa Betzer, is a former Vermont Special Forces agent. The 2nd Division. Ho ho, now I can only laugh. It has definitely been a while since her retirement, so she's probably rusty. Still, it's nice of her to volunteer. The Vermont Special Forces. Amongst the forces, the division tasked with protecting the imperial family was the 2nd Division, and Khan knew well of their strengths. If she was previously in the Special Forces 2nd Division. She's not an opponent that the young master can use tricks and gimmicks on. I congratulate your son, Lord Patriarch. Since he hasn't even defeated her, it's too early to celebrate. Kashimir said that he gave the youngest 6 months. To defeat her, that is. At this rate, he'll succeed before the time period ends. If that runt was the first child, I would have left the clan in his hands without remorse. What a shame. Khan, what do you think of the youngest? I concur. If he were the firstborn, then Master Joshua would have been superseded by young Master Jean. I didn't mean that. Khan was startled and stared at Siren. BDNVL.M, do you mean, as a successor? Siren nodded. Khan was surprised, but not because of Jin's measly age of 15. This is the first time the Patriarch talked about his desired successor. Siren had never chosen a successor. Although he looked forward to some of his children, like Luna, this was the first time he explicitly stated his opinion. People only thought of Joshua as the first successor candidate after Luna's refusal of inheritance, but Siren never truly selected him. The same went for the other successor candidates, Mary, Deepuz, and Lunsha. After reorganizing his thoughts, Khan spoke. I think he needs a little more observation due to his young age. Although he is growing and learning very quickly, I don't think he is suited for the throne just yet. And why do you think that? He lacks coldness. The story of the young master's journey to save the beginner cadets was from his personality. I can see that he has a very kind and malleable heart. You're right. On the other hand, Joshua is the opposite. The youngest often showed weakness towards relationships and attachments. How about when you ignore all of that? When needed, he must be cold enough to get rid of his own sister, and with his current growth rate, he will be perfect for your position. Satisfied with the Guardian Knight's answer, Siren grinned. Indeed, that is what a runcandle is. You are dismissed. Yes, Lord Patriarch. He had fought and slashed through monsters for 4 days to get there, but as soon as the order was heeded, Khan immediately began to walk the exact same path that he came from. To exit Siren's domain, he would have to slash and kill monsters for another 4 days. Before he drew his sword, a thought occurred to him. Did the patriarch smile because he looked forward to young Master Jean transcending the Runcandle's ancestors? **** Reaper scans **** mid-November, 1795. 3 months had passed since Jin's quest to defeat Elisa. No longer did he cast spells before the fight. Phew! Young Master Jean. Today was also a close game. At the 95th battle, Elisa wiped her forehead after knocking down Jean. "Ha, you said that yesterday as well. This makes it 95 losses. It's kinda depressing, the small differences will accumulate. And now, you can fight me for at least 15 minutes. Anyways, young Master Jean, are you going to do that before returning?" "Yes. Please go on ahead, Lady Elisa." Tired from watching, Elisa shook her head. Since 1 week ago, after each battle, Jean only left the training area after completing 10,000 swings. 10,000. I must channel my will through the sword, a realm that could be awakened when the first and last of 10,000 swings were identical. While training with Elisa, Jean could enact the same swing 3,000 times. Even with an exhausted body. This isn't about physical strength. Whether I am exhausted or perfectly fine, the importance is in the transferring of one's will into the blade. Jean took his stance for the long haul, and Elisa exited the sparring room. Phew, I didn't think he would catch up this fast. Watching that toxic amount of training. He makes me feel like I'm not trying hard enough. Elisa watched Jean train for a while, then she slowly closed the door. He truly deserves to be stronger. She never would have expected what awaited her the next day. Proofreader's Corner, March 23, 22, get you a man who would write you at least 2 pages worth of admiration and thanks. But also, I'm not the only one who felt like Kashmir gave Siren a pseudo-love letter, right? Chapter 88. Take Down Elisa. 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Volume 4 Chapter 88, Take Down Elisa. 4. Translator, J. Proofreader, Yukit Okada. Did the anxiety and nervousness slowly recede after each and every spar? The next day, during the 96th spar, Elisa finally lost to Jean. As the battle reached the 70-second mark, Jin's stab penetrated her shoulder. Burk. The moment his attack succeeded, they were both very surprised. In fact, it was a wound that was severe enough to prevent Elisa from continuing the battle. Jean dropped his sword and frantically called a healer, and Elisa smiled awkwardly. "Lady Elisa. Are you alright?" Yeah, I'm fine. I haven't had this kind of injury in a while." Blood spilled all over the place. While the healers cast healing magic, Jean tilted his head. It wasn't an attack that Lady Elisa couldn't dodge. This is a victory born from luck. And it was true. Jean hadn't given his full effort yet. When training with Elisa, he often played his final trump cards after the 100-second mark. In other words, Jean always beat Elisa in the analysis phase. Though, this time wasn't because of his growth, but because of his opponent's mistake, so today's victory wasn't as sweet. I temporarily lost vision from the spiritual energy and failed to read his sword's movements. I can't believe I made this mistake. I guess I got pretty rusty after retiring. Maintaining the same amount of focus while fighting an opponent who she beat 94 times was not easy, even for a knight like Elisa. Elisa wiped her forehead and shook her head. Damn. I've lost. No, I think we shouldn't count this match. I cannot accept this victory. I knew you would say that. I agree. I understand that you can't accept this. My mistake has caused a dilemma. Thanks to the healer's hard work, the wound was treated in an instant. However, young Master Jean, we can't just not count it. If it were you from 3 months ago, even if I made a mistake or hesitated, you would never be able to defeat me. A difference of roughly only 3 months, 97 days, to be exact. As for Elisa, she couldn't believe how fast Jean improved in that short amount of time. Even considering that he's a runcandle, I don't understand this level. Soon, his swordsmanship and magic would both become 6-star. Because she was a former member of the Vermont Special Forces, she had met many swordsmen from a famous clan of swordsmen known as Hiran. However, Elisa was certain. Amongst all of the talented knights she fought, Jean was on another level. Then, does that mean I can't fight you anymore? Not at all. In the remaining 3 months, try to achieve your desired victory. Until then, I will always keep my evenings open. ******* Reaper scans ****** December 1st, 1795. The day for Jean and Elisa's 110th battle, Elisa took the day off from work. She wanted to fight Jean in perfect condition. Because of that, the two didn't fight in the evening, but at noon instead. And 30 minutes before the battle, Kashmir sought Jean. "Young Master Jean, the information that you requested has finally arrived. It took longer than expected. You found Alu's real name. The head of the Teasing clan, Spiderhand Alu." At first, Kashmir thought that searching for a person's name would be a piece of cake, that finding information about some sketchy alleyway gangster leader was easy with the 7-colored Peacock's intelligence network. However, even after all this time, they failed to find Alu's real name. Unfortunately, that is not the case. The best agents investigated everything regarding that fellow named Alu. Seems like he had a lot of secrets. But there is nothing left from anything he did before becoming Teasing's leader. Kashmir shrugged. There is only one reason for the 7-colored Peacock's failure. Someone must have intentionally erased his records. As you said, he may have some connections with a runcandle. I regret killing him now. Then, how about the information on Vishikal? Yes, Vishikal Ivliano. The Ivliano clan's next patriarch. Young Master Jean, do you know of an organization named Kinzalo Group? I do. Our paths met when I executed a mission with my fellow cadets this year. The Kinzalo Group. A crazy organization that wanted to make their leader the king of the world. In Jin's past life, they assassinated the Zhan Kingdom's king and slaughtered their people, which really fostered their notoriety. Although I am not sure, it is possible that Vishikal is part of the Kinzalo Group. Once a week, he visits the Kurano dukedom, and he always goes to this one fragment workshop. Please tell me more. The owner of the strangely titled Fragment Workshop, Artistic Explosion, is a man named Bavard Gaston. According to what we found, Bavard is an executive of the Kinzalo Group. And Vishikal visits him every week, which raises suspicion. Bavard Gaston. Jean spoke as if he didn't know. He couldn't tell Kashmir that Bavard could transform into other people just yet. Not because he couldn't trust him, but because there was no way to prove it. Yes. A rather fat man in his mid-30s. And Vishikal always brought sweet potato croquettes every time he went to his shop. Like some kind of delivery. Assuming that both of them are part of the Kinzalo Group, Bavard must be of a higher rank. Most likely so. I have actually met Vishikal once in the past. He's a very proud individual. But if it's a man who he always delivers food to, then, in reality, Bavard was an executive and Vishikal was the vice-leader of the group, so the latter was the one with the higher rank. However, the 7-colored peacock didn't figure that out yet. Kashmir and Jean simultaneously chuckled. They couldn't imagine Vishikal delivering food to a fat man. I expected a relationship between them, but the Kinzalo Group. This is unexpected. In fact, Bavard seems to have a higher rank. What does Vishikal get out of being part of Kinzalo? The answer was simple. Although the Ivliano clan couldn't go against the Runcandle clan, they were strong enough to put up a fight against the Vermont Empire's Hiran clan. However, the clan lacked any other talented knight, so if they excluded Vishikal, their power would decline. It's either he's trying to use the Kinzalo group's strength to regain his clan's honor or he's being hypnotized. But is the Kinzalo group that strong enough for a talented knight like Vishikal to seek them? Looking back at my past life, when the Kinzalo group was at its peak, it's not impossible. Even the 3 strongest powers didn't touch those crazy guys. As he thought of the past, he remembered some weird things that happened. Whether it was before or after he regressed, the Runcandles didn't lay a finger on the Kinzalo group. Even though he and the other beginner cadets got fucked over by them. Was it because the Runcandle clan didn't think that they're worth anything? Or because they considered them a very dangerous organization? Well, I'll find out soon enough. Jean lightly bowed to Kashmir. Well, alright, Sir Kashmir. Thank you for your service. Well, the service was from the agents. I only sat and listened to their reports. I presume the next task is to find out about the Kinzalo group, then. As well as to continue searching for information on Alu. This was the part that Jean liked about Kashmir. Even without saying anything, they had the same plan. I am always in your debt, Sir Kashmir. In that case, why don't you go play with Yuria? Every day in my office, she yearns for your presence. And with Miss Enya present, they make my head hurt. Understood. Oh, anyways, it's time for me to spar with Lady Elisa. Would you like to come and watch? Sounds good. I wanted to see how much you've improved anyway. Kashmir's expression was filled with confidence. He was confident that Jean couldn't defeat Elisa yet. I should witness young Master Jin's growth and send another letter to Lord Siren. Elisa was already in the training area, waiting for Jean. Huh? What? Honey, why are you here? Elisa began to jokingly complain after seeing Kashmir walk alongside the young Runcandle. What, am I not allowed to come here? Young Master Jean invited me to watch. Well, no, it's not that. It's just. I don't want you to see me losing. Losing? What, you're going to lose? What do you mean by that? Kashmir's eyes were filled with shock. Instead of the promised 6 months, he managed to defeat her in only 3. Asking with his eyes, Kashmir looked at Elisa, and she nodded. Elisa Betzer, former Vermont Special Forces 2nd Division agent and Tycon's current Chief of Defense. She took a day off from work to fight in perfect condition because she expected a loss in today's battle. His skill has already caught up to mine. Yesterday. While Kashmir lost his sense of reality, Jean and Elisa took their positions. Seems like today will be the last spar, young Master Jean. Jean only bowed instead of responding to his opponent. Elisa continued. Even in the far future. I wish you would remember me as a great sparring partner. Even the moment when you reach the top of the world. Instead of a sparring partner, I will commemorate you as a great teacher and friend. And I hope you remember me as a wonderful student. Kashmir got a hold of himself and stepped away from the battlefield. He didn't want to interfere with their fight. Elisa clenched her fists, and Jean muttered. Summon. Phoenix. A summoned beast from a different world. An entity that could only be summoned by magicians who are 6 star and above. For the past 109 battles, it wasn't only his swordsmanship that improved. His spiritual energy and magic were also greatly enhanced. Whoosh! Jean conjured a dimensional portal, and a massive flaming bird emerged from it. And Kashmir, who was looking at Jin's phoenix, let out a gasp. He knew who that phoenix was. Chapter 89. Test the Phoenix. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Volume 4 Chapter 89, Test the Phoenix, Translator, J. Proofreader, Yukito Okada. If a magician was at least 6 star, then they could contract with a phoenix. And of course, all magicians wanted to own a special or unique phoenix. Something like Keliarg Zipfels, Beloit or the historical Grand Magician Ohenserkes Monnier. They wanted to become an owner of a well-known phoenix. However, magicians were never given the ability to choose. After becoming a 6-star and opening the door to the fire dimension, no magician knew what kind of phoenix would approach them. With sweat rolling down his face, Kashmir stared at Jin's phoenix. He felt the burning heat waves every time the mystical blue flame phoenix flapped its wings. In the Magician's Society, there were over 10,000 registered phoenixes, but there was only one that was characterized with blue flames. Tess. What in the world, young Master Jean? Jean had summoned Tess, the beast deemed as the most noble phoenix. And every magician who summoned it became that era's strongest magician. Even in the far future. I wish you would remember me as a great sparring partner. Even the moment when you reach the top of the world. As soon as Kashmir saw the phoenix, he knew why Elisa spoke such words. She was no longer able to face Jean. Shing. Jean unsheathed Bradamanti and spoke. Then, shall we start, Lady Elisa? Jean stood still, pointing his sword at Elisa. It was only a month ago when he was the challenger. Now, the tables had turned. Today's challenger was Elisa. Prepare yourself, young Master Jean. A white aura surrounded her two fists, and she bolted forward like a bullet, instantly closing the gap. In his current state, Jean couldn't follow Elisa's movements with his hand-eye coordination. Usually, he predicted her movements and counterattacked. However, he didn't need to do so today. Tess emitted deep blue flames that licked its surroundings, preventing Elisa from approaching. Whoosh! Whoosh! The smallest of the flames were at least 5-star level. Even for a 7-star knight with a trained body, without an aura shield, she would get a 2nd-degree burn. On top of that, Tessa's flames had a special ability called pressure. If that gets on her, then she'll start to rapidly burn energy. She has to finish the battle quickly. As the name suggested, pressure pressed upon the opponent afflicted with the phoenix's ability. Tessa's flames had weight that defied all laws of nature. Therefore, the moment it landed upon an aura shield, she couldn't ignore it because the flames didn't extinguish easily compared to a normal fire. Because the opponent's body itself would feel as heavy as a rock in water. Dodging the flames, Elisa weaved through each attack and put herself in a defensive stance. As such, Jean was easily given the upper hand. I can only keep Tess here for about 3 minutes. Within that time, I must make a meaningful attack towards her, so I can end the battle swiftly afterwards. Although it was only a spar, in the past 109 times, Jean always felt the threat of death. Now, it was Jin's turn to make Elisa feel the same. Without skipping a single day for the past 3 months, Elisa trained Jean to help him get stronger, and he knew the best gift to give her. Swoosh! Elisa jumped into the air, dodging a flame, and Jean swung his sword towards her. Ugh! She quickly twisted her torso, and the blade barely scratched her back. A minor tear on her clothes, but enough to make her very tense. Then, as soon as she landed and caught her balance, a sphere of mana formed in Jin's left hand. Wind blade. Using this, I can force her to dodge once more. He threw wind blade towards her ankles, and as he expected, she leapt into the air again. I'll prevent her from regaining composure to pester her impatience. And then I'll end it. After fighting Elisa 109 times, Jean realized that her patterns were diverse. As of the current moment, predicting her moves and reacting to them would be practically impossible. However, among all of Elisa's many patterns, there was a common order. In any situation, she always tried to get the upper hand. As I use more of my swordsmanship, magic, and spiritual energy, she will start to feel tired and will be more desperate to gain the upper hand. However, that will be the reason for her loss. Elisa moved to the left, dodging the wind blade. She fixed her eyes back to Jean as the spell flew past her. With fire in its mouth, Tess was prepared to shoot its breath. Phew. So you're a magic swordsman, young Master Jean. Elisa quickly turned her head. From the sides, Jean swung his sword multiple times, creating multiple crescent slashes in the air. And with Tess shooting its breath at the same time, an attack from the front and sides approached her. It wasn't impossible to dodge both attacks, but doing so would enable Jean to have the offensive advantage once more. Instead, I'll block the breath with my aura shield and then parry young Master Jin's attacks. After giving Jean a nice slug in the stomach, she planned on waiting out the Phoenix's summon timer. Even if she faced an injury, she decided that gaining the upper hand would be the most optimal choice. She would never win if she stayed cornered for the entire battle. She needed to interrupt the flow that Jean had set for the battle. Whoosh! Tessa's breath struck Elisa. The cone-shaped blue flames seemed to swallow her. However, the flames couldn't penetrate the aura shield that she created. Tess couldn't unleash anything stronger because the strength of the Phoenix depended on the summoner's mana. Gotcha. And just as she planned, Elisa caught Jin's blade. Although she protected her hand with aura, blood splattered. However, it wasn't enough to cut her fingers off. Crunch. In order to throw a punch, she planted her feet on the ground and pulled on the sword to drag Jean towards her. Hop. With an echoing shout, she threw her punch. She couldn't give it her all due to the aura shield she raised, but it was still enough to make Jean recoil. Bam! A refreshing, clear sound of impact should have been made. But the lack thereof caused Elisa to flicker her eyes around. He's not here. I'm sure I pulled him in and hit him. Her fist had hit thin air. Instinctively, she looked upon the sword she was holding. And at the end of the handle, where Jean should have been, was no one. Then I must have felt and pulled the weight from pressure. A blue fire burned brightly at the other end of the sword. After Elisa caught the blade, Jean had given up on his sword and repositioned himself. In lieu of him, he placed a heavy flame on the hilt of the sword, tricking his opponent. Elisa was too busy dealing with Tessa's breath and failed to notice it. She only noticed everything after it all happened. As such, she was too late to react. Ha! I've lost, young Master Jean. I've fought many foes, but I've never imagined them using a trick like this. The Phoenix halted its breath. Elisa's aura shield dissipated, and Jean emerged behind her with a dagger. I pushed myself and made this shield strategy for the chance of victory, but it came back to bite me. My goodness, I can't believe I've lost because I didn't keep my rear in check. I'm a little shocked. Since when did you calculate all this? If I say, since the first battle, would I sound too arrogant? Elisa waved her hand in defeat. No, that sounds completely reasonable. A little surprising. Thank you for all your time, Lady Elisa. As for me, young Master Jean. You would never know how proud I am of you. Elisa turned around, and Jean put away his dagger. They looked at each other, then simultaneously extended their arms to shake hands. How does it feel to defeat a former Vermont Special Forces agent before hitting the age of 16? Honestly, pretty good. Very good. In fact, I would like to fight you full force again next year. Elisa softly smiled at Jin's response. I don't gear up if I don't have to kill my opponent. So, there won't be a reason for you to fight me when I'm at my full potential. In the 110th battle, Elisa did not use a gauntlet or piece of armor. Not even once. A fully armored Elisa was an opponent that even Kashmir couldn't face. It wouldn't be suitable for Jean. Well, at this rate, you would surpass my full potential in no time. Anyways, congratulations, young Master Jean. We should throw a party at dinner. Kashmir, who had watched the entire battle, looked soulless. I honestly thought 6 months wouldn't be enough. He's crazy. Crazy. Lord Siren, the next letter will be super special. In reality, Kashmir thought that Jean needed at least a year to defeat Elisa. He couldn't believe his eyes even after witnessing that it only took the young Runcandle 110 days. Why don't you go get healed and prepare for the party? Oh, Alright. Reaper scans The victory was celebrated with all of Jin's companions in Taiken. During the feast, everyone was told that he summoned Test the Phoenix and defeated Elisa. By Test do you mean, Test the Blue Flame Phoenix? Young master, I have heard of it before. That it's a very rare phoenix, Miss Gilly. That's not even the most crucial part about it. Magicians who are able to summon Tess are guaranteed to be the best magician in the era. Lord Jean. Please give me an autograph. Quick. Right here, on the back of my shirt. Enya scrambled towards Jean, eyes gleaming. While more people were astonished by his feat, Murakan and Quicantle were at a loss for words. Clang. In fact, they both dropped their silverwares at the same time. They seemed to be in deep shock. Hey, kid. Did you just say? Tess. Jean, did you really contract with the Majestic? I did. In fact, you first met at the underground training area, and as soon as you summoned the Majestic, you made them fight. This time, Jean was confused. Even the proud dragons were baffled, respectfully addressing the Phoenix. Murakan, Miss Quicantle, is there a problem? Hey, anyways, try summoning them now. Summoning uses too much mana, so it's exhausting. Jean looked around him, then summoned Tess. We are honored to meet the ruler of the fire dimension. Quicantle got on her knees and bowed, shouting her greetings. Hey, ruler of the fire dimension. Long time no see. What, why? I can talk to you like this. I can also, yeah, my condolences. Understood. Oh, okay. I understand, so please stop cursing. Murakan looked as if he met an old teacher that he had a bad history with. Everyone's stomach flipped at the fantastical sight. In the short time of Murakan and Tessa's conversation, no human could hear Tessa's voice. Alright. I understand. I will tell Jean. Aya, come on. The curses. This isn't even the fire dimension. If you keep doing this, I'll get mad. Peck. Tess pecked on Murakan's head at ridiculous speeds. Surprisingly, the black dragon didn't fuss and just backed off. The phoenix said something after punishing the dragon, and Murakan nodded. Phew. I understand, I'll tell him that, so please calm down. Ha, you caused a fuss as soon as you came. Hey. Trying to peck me again. So hot-headed. Whatever. Kid. Send this bird back to the fire dimension. Jean released his summoning spell. The bird thrashed and threw a tantrum as it was unwillingly sucked into a dimensional portal. Quicantle finally stood up and sighed. You and Miss Quicantle seem to have a complex relationship with Tess. It was pretty surprising. Anyways, what did you talk about? As soon as Jean asked, Murakan shuddered, as if there were an impending doom.